Hey everybody, how's it going? There's something I've been wanting to try for a really long time, and that is something called fat washed bourbon. You take this fat and you mix it in with your bourbon, and it's supposed to elevate it, right? You can use bacon fat, you can use different types of pork fat. I'm gonna be doing it with ham fat. This is ham that I made on Thanksgiving. I still have the fat, still have some of the liquid down in here. I'm not gonna use that, I'm gonna use the actual fat. And so the way this works in most recipes is that you're using an entire bottle, 750 milliliters. Is this 750 milliliters? This is a liter, this is a little bit bigger, but that's okay, it's not gonna matter. Use 750 milliliters and you mix it in with about 1.5 ounces of liquid fat. Well, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I don't want to mess it up, and I don't want to waste an entire bottle of booze on a failed experiment, so I have decided to scale it down, and I know that I might like it, so I wanted to have several different pours of this, so I'm going to be doing about 1/3. So there are 25 ounce and a half pours in a 750 milliliter bottle. So you're looking at about 6 ounces of booze, and that's about 1/3 of the bottle. So instead of an 1.5 ounces of the fat, we're going to be doing 1/4 ounce of the fat. I'm sorry, 1/2 ounce. No, 1/4 ounce of the fat. So that's going to be this. So follow me, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So this is the fat from my ham. I didn't get any of that rendered yummy stuff. This is just the fat, right? So let's go into the microwave and we're gonna melt this down and see what happens. All right, so here is my melted fat. I am not gonna use all of this. I wasn't sure how much to do. I did this, by the way, I gave it about a minute at 20% power because I didn't want it getting all over the place. So we're gonna take this and I'm gonna set this here. There we go. And now we need about 1/4 ounce. Give myself just a little bit more. And the rest of this is going back in that ham broth because I will use this when I make vegetable soup. Ooh, and it'll cool off again. It'll mix in there right nice. And then if I want more fat, I got more fat, I could do this again. All right, so now we're gonna take this here measuring device. I'm using Bulleit because if I screw this up, Bulleit's not very expensive and it's easy to find. All right, and I like Bulleit. So let's do 6 ounces of the Bulleit. There we go. A little more. There we go, 6 ounces. All right, now, you take the fat and you get it in there. See how it kind of separates? And I'm gonna give this a little whisk. A little whisk action in there. And really infuse it. Oh yeah, it's mixing in there nice. Okay, so the idea now that I've mixed this together is I'm going to stick it in the fridge for about 4 hours and let it think about what it's done. Then after that, I'm gonna put it in the freezer because what's gonna happen is like chill filtering is gonna take the fat back out of this and all that's gonna be left is the bourbon and the fat's gonna float on top. But let's start with putting it in the fridge. So that's 4 hours. Then we'll do 2 hours in the freezer and I'll take it out. The bourbon will not be frozen because it's alcohol, but the fat will. I'll be able to strain that off the top and then we'll be able to make a fat infused cocktail. You can do this with bacon fat. I decided to do it with ham because I like ham not better than bacon. I just happen to have a lot of ham fat ready to go. Although, I do have bacon fat as well. I save this every time I make bacon, and I use this for various different things. I love fried eggs in a cast iron skillet in bacon fat. Oh. Mm-hmm. All right, it's been a few hours since we started this whole experiment, and now it's time to get it out of the freezer. Okay, so you see how the fat is frozen on top. All right, so what we can do at this point is grab a little mason jar or something that has enough capacity for 6 ounces. It says you could use a cheesecloth or some sort of terry cloth or something like that, but how about a coffee filter? I think that'll do the trick. I'll just use the mason jar screw thingy. There we go. Now, let me just pull a little of the fat off the top of that so I don't end up with a big clump. I'm just breaking up that fat. Okay. And here we go. And it's starting to slowly but surely make its way through the coffee filter. I will spare you the boringness of watching this happen, and we'll get it done, and then we'll come back and show you the results. All right, so it's done a pretty good job here of straining out the fat. It was slow. It was definitely slow. So what we're going to do is just going to give it a little squeeze here and finish it out. Get the rest of that fat out of this. I wanted to give it a good hour to try to return back to room temperature, or at least close to it. Because again, I tend to not like my bourbons cold. It mutes the flavors. So I'm hoping that we can get it back to some semblance of room temperature here before our experiment tonight. What I'm going to be doing is, it's like I'm milking a cow here. I'm going to be trying the regular Bulleit first, and then I'm going to try this. Ooh, I almost lost the fat through the filter. You can discard that. All that's left in here is fat. So, all right, so we're going to be trying this. Now, I will tell you that this does have a different look to it. I may strain this again before we actually do the broadcast tonight, the Bourbcast tonight, just because I want to make sure that every little bit of that fat is filtered out of it. I still see what looks like something floating in there, so I'm just going to make sure I separate it. I'm going to do this one more time. Again, I'm going to spare you sitting here having to watch that, but just trust me that I'll do it. All right, so there we are. Now we're caught up. You got to see, that's the first time I've done that. I had to do a preliminary video to get ready for tonight's Bourbcast. And yes, Austin, we are fat washing. I have always wanted to try it. I don't know what difference it's going to make, and we're going to find that out first. And then we're going to make the Benton's Old Fashioned. Fat washing, as I said in the video, it's a process of running your bourbon through fat. Does it change the mouthfeel? Does it change the flavor? We're going to find out. Again, I wanted to do it. I've got the secondary of the filtered stuff here. I ran it through another coffee filter. It did clear it up a little bit more. Hi, Quinn. How are you? We're fat washing. I had to do a preliminary video for this. This is something that kind of took me all day. I will tell you, though, that I abbreviated the times in the fridge and the freezer. I got thinking about that. 4 hours in the refrigerator, then 2 hours or overnight in the freezer, and you know, that's for a 750 milliliter bottle. And I was only doing a fraction of that, a third of that. Third of that. So it didn't need to be in there that long, I didn't think. So I left it in the fridge for a couple of hours, put it in the freezer for about an hour. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It looked great, and now we're going to see what the differences are. So first we're going to start off with regular Bulleit. Just a nice little dram of Bulleit. And then, this is the filtered and the fat washed Bulleit. Ooh. That does, oh, no. Oh, no, it isn't. That's funny. This is maple syrup. It's like, what's... No. Something's wrong with this. I forgot about this. This is maple syrup. This is for the maple old fashioned. I'll just leave that in there because I'll use it. That's funny. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's get the actual correct one out here. And because I ruined that glass, we're going to use this glass. That's funny. I cracked myself up. All right. Get that poured in there. So this is the fat washed. All right. And first we're going to find out if I can detect any differences. Took allergy pills earlier today. Everything should be cleansed. So let's start off with Bulleit. One of the things I learned is that alcohol is a solvent, which basically means that it retains flavors of the materials around it. The ketogenic diet, this is a good one for ketos, because bourbon doesn't have any carbs, meat, fat, all good. It is significantly lighter. All right. I am detecting the smell of ham fat in this bourbon. God, I'm gonna like this. Let's be real. Okay. Wow. That has got a lot of ham in it. To be truthful, a lot of ham in it. And that was only, what, 6 ounces of bourbon and a 1/4 ounce of fat. Some of the people I saw online, they said that it didn't make that much of a difference. Again, I trimmed this recipe way down. So maybe having trimmed it down that much, I tried to do it scientifically. It's a third, a third, a third. So, but the color is significantly different. And yeah, there's a lot of port flavor in that bourbon. Okay, wait. I want to do a mouthfeel experiment because I'm not detecting any mouthfeel difference with this. The difference with this seems to be more flavor than anything else. So let me go back to the original. Okay. Did a little swish. This has a little bit more of an oiliness to it. Not much. Not much at all. Now, I filtered it twice. Could have something to do with it. But anyway, I just want to give you a little bit of stuff about fat washing. It was invented by a bartender in 2007, Don Lee, in New York. He was at a place called PDT, Please Don't Tell, and he calls it the Benton's Old Fashioned, a drink he made using bacon fat washed bourbon. He used Benton's bacon. That's why it's called a Benton's Old Fashioned. You could do this overnight. You saw how I did it. I'm not 100% sure I did it right, but I think I did it right. You can use smoky bacon fat, rum and coconut oil, vodka and truffle oil, moonshine and butter, vodka, gin, and olive oil, rye whiskey and duck fat, butter and moonshine, gin and blue cheese, and by golly, I bet you could even use butter. Maybe not. Because butter is dairy. You might curdle the milk. Don't do better. I'm just playing. Liquid Intelligence book is another book that talks about this. So, you know, let's go ahead and make our old fashioned. Might as well make it in that glass, huh? Oop, I'm going to need some ice. Now, this recipe does not include a cherry, so we're not putting a cherry in it tonight. All right. I didn't bring down ice cubes for the stirring, so we're going to use the sphere and just pour it all in together. All right, so we have this. We have the sphere. And now we need 2 ounces of this. There's 1. And then 2. My ice sphere is cracking. All right, so then we'll do Angostura bitters. 2 splashes of this. And then some of that maple syrup I promised you. Hey Landon, how are you, sir? Similar subject for future discussion. I have to click milk washing. Spot local to me does it to make perfectly clear. Black walnut nocino old fashioned. Oh, milk washing. And the milk doesn't curdle? That's interesting. All right, so we'll do that, and then a little bit of that maple syrup that I promised you. That's about double what I need. Let's pour some of that back in. There we go. This is only supposed to be about 1/4 ounce for this particular drink. All right. Put the lid back on that. And then give it a stir. Again, I would normally use ice cubes for this, but the ice sphere ought to do the trick. Stir it till the ice or the glass gets cold. Skim the curdled milk much in the same way as the fat in the fat washing. Oh, that makes sense. I'll have to look that one up. All right. So we've done that. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this maple syrup glass, and to do that the right way, you know what? Let's use the spoon side of this. Let's see if this is going to work. This is what I get for not being prepared. All right. Fingers was made before that. There we go. That's pretty big. That sphere barely fits in there. All right, pour this over the top. All right. One thing we do get to do is a little orange peel. Ooh, that smells good. Go around the rim and stick it down in there. So this is a Benton's Old Fashioned using fat washed Bulleit. That is incredible. So while the Bulleit, I like the Bulleit better neat. I like everything better neat. But if you're going to make a cocktail, that fat washed bourbon really adds something to this particular cocktail. This is really something else. This is fantastic. That little bit of the smoke, that little bit of the ham, that saltiness from it. Oh my. This elevates it to it shouldn't even be called an old fashioned anymore. I mean, yes, there's so many things in common that it should be, but it shouldn't be. This is fantastic. So I've shown you how to do it. I highly recommend that you go online and research it yourself. I didn't watch any videos, and I probably should have watched some videos. Maybe somebody there scaled it down and did it differently than I did. But I can't believe I did it that wrong, because this is really, really good. It's quite actually fantastic. Now, there are some ratios that are mentioned here. See if there's anything good. Fat should be fresh and of good quality, yeah. Fat you use liquid form, yeah. Let's see. So different people are going to give you different recipes. For a 750 milliliter bottle, this is a liter. For a 750 milliliter bottle, they're saying one person said 1.5 ounces of rendered fat. This one is actually saying 4 ounces of strong tasting fat. Okay. I suppose it would be a matter of you experimenting and see what you like. But I have now fat washed. This is something I've been wanting to do since I first found out about it like a couple of years ago. And I've finally done it, and this is fantastic. Next time I'm doing it with bacon fat. Gosh, that's good. I think I know what I'm doing for the holidays. I'm washing fat. I'm fat washing bourbon. All right, guys. That was just a quick one. I just wanted to do this real quick because it's kind of a fantasy of mine to finally do this. And it's National Bartender's Day, so why not do something that a bartender can appreciate and put the time into, the prep into, creating something that you can't just do off the fly like I do most of the time when I do a drink. This one took half the day to prep because you got to melt the fat, you got to get the fat, you got to melt the fat. If you don't have any bacon, you got to go to the store, you got to cook the bacon, then you got to drain the bacon. Then, of course, you don't have to put it back in the microwave because it's already liquefied, but you do have to strain it out so you're not having little pieces of bacon and stuff in it. Not that that would be a bad thing, but I don't want to chew anything that's in my drink either. It might come out with the filtering, sure. But this was a fantasy of mine to finally do this. This is fantastic. I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad I have a little bit more left. This is a recipe I will be sharing. I will be making this for people over the holidays, and I hope you do too. Again, consult YouTube or different things online and find out how you can fat wash. Will the fat washed bourbon keep just the same as a non-washed bottle? I'm going to say I think it will. Because you're separating the fat, and because I'm not detecting really any discernible different mouthfeel, Austin, with everything you should give caution, right? I mean, there should probably be a shelf limit to how long you want to keep it. It's not going to last as long as bourbon, I don't think. But that being said, I double filtered this. The fat should have come out, but I suppose that if any fat actually remained in this outside of the flavor of it, you probably ought to use safe food techniques and only keep it for maybe a couple of weeks. Bacon fat will last a couple of weeks out of the refrigerator, I think. I don't think you should have to refrigerate it, especially if you've done a good job filtering it, like through cheesecloth or through a coffee filter. It should last. I didn't do any research on that, so that's a great question, and I think that bears more research. But just using common sense, I would say that you should probably consider that it has a shelf life, but it might last longer than the shelf life you consider. Does that answer your question? Plus, it's in alcohol. The higher the proof, the more it ought to be sterilized, right? All right, so we did, what, 3 of these in a row? No, it was last week we did something like that. So anyway, we're not going to do any more of these until next Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm all flustered. My schedule's so far off. This is Bourbcast 129. Next week for Bourbcast 130. We mentioned this last night. We're going to mention it again now. We're going to come back and we're going to do barrel seagrass. This is hefty. This is 119.48 proof. Yeah, I may not be going anywhere next Thursday after this one. So barrel seagrass is next Thursday. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up. This is fantastic. If you haven't fat washed your bourbon, fat wash it. Just try it. You may fail, but even if you fail, I think it's going to be pretty good. Gosh, that's good. That is so good. Holy cow. See what I did there? Pork fat, holy cow. Oh. I'm sorry. That was uncalled for, and I should have to drink all of this as a punishment. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the questions. Thanks for sticking with me. I gotta laugh. This was fun, and I enjoyed the process of creating the video before we went live too. It was a different thing to do, and it was kind of fun, and I actually got to watch the video back and respond to a couple of people. That was fun. I don't get to do that very often. But next week, barrel, seagrass, all live, all right here on Beautiful Bourbon. Thank you so much for watching, and I do appreciate it. And we will see you again on Thursday at 7 o'clock, new time. Take care.